Hello, I'm Carol Browning, and I invite you to spend a little time with me exploring my latest collection with GIA Publications called Unknown Blessings, Finding God in Worship and the World. This session was originally to have been presented live in Louisville for the NPM convention, but because of the coronavirus pandemic, I'm with you in a virtual manner. I thank GIA for their sponsorship of this session and thank NPM for hosting this year's convention in a safe way when we can't gather in person. I'll talk about each piece, offering some background and usage suggestions for the songs, and introduce score videos produced by GIA so that you can follow and sing along with each one. GIA is also providing some of these notes as a downloadable handout. These songs are melodic and accessible, many scored for two-part mixed or SAB choir with assembly participation. We'll start off with a song that has a message of encouragement for what we've been experiencing this year. All Shall Be Well is an ostinato refrain using the text, all shall be well, all shall be well, all manner of things shall be well, from the 14th century English mystic Julian of Norwich. There are superimposed verses which come from Ecclesiastes 3, reminding us that for everything there is a season. The refrain is SATB with piano and guitar accompaniment. The recording has an improvised flute part as well. The verses would best be sung by a soprano or tenor, keeping a light tone. Each verse overlaps the refrain, so one option would be to use two cantors or soloists to sing two verses one after the other. To vary the texture underneath the verses, the refrain could be sung on ooh or hummed. We often think of using ostinato refrains for prayers in the style of the Taizé community, but they work well in Eucharistic or other liturgies as preludes, during preparation of the altar and gifts, or at communion, when people can enter into the mantra of the refrain while processing. All Shall Be Well offers a message of comfort, trust, faith, and reassurance. This text is also appropriate for liturgies of peace or healing, for funerals, or for reconciliation services. The refrain alone could be used as a response to a litany of healing or for prayers of intercessions. Here's All Shall Be Well.
Everything there is.
Next, we'll go roughly through the liturgical year, beginning with a setting of Psalm 85, Lord, let us see your kindness, which is assigned for the second Sunday of Advent, year B, as well as the 15th Sunday in Ordinary Time, year B, and the 19th Sunday in Ordinary Time, year A. This is a simple, straightforward setting written as a plea for God's mercy and kindness. The refrain is for two-part mixed voices accompanied by piano and guitar, with the same melody sung twice, adding harmonic variation the second time. The range of a sixth from middle C up to A is easy for the assembly. The verses expand the range up to an octave, and a harmony is provided for the second and third verses. On the recording, the cantor sings the first verse. One voice joins with the harmony on the second, and the third is sung by all the sopranos and altos. In addition to their use as responsorial psalms, the language of the psalms, the people's prayer book, makes them appropriate for use in other places in our sung prayers. With this refrain, asking for God's mercy and verses which remind us that God proclaims peace and salvation, Lord, let us see your kindness could be used at preparation of the altar and gifts or communion for Eucharistic liturgies or for reconciliation or healing services. And now, Lord, let us see your kindness.
See your kindness and grant us your salvation. Lord, let us see your kindness and grant us your salvation. I will hear what God proclaims, the Lord, for he proclaims peace to his people. Near indeed is his salvation to those who fear him. Glory dwelling in our land. Lord, let us see your kindness and grant us your salvation.
Now let's look at a song, Child of Grace, that is for Advent and Christmas, perhaps for lessons in carols or on Holy Family. This was written for the first birthday of Carolyn Grace Andino, the daughter of fellow GIA composer and a dear friend, Tom Andino. Carolyn's middle name, Grace, and her birthday at the beginning of December inspired the refrain, Child of Grace, Emmanuel, God with us, Emmanuel, heart's birthplace, Emmanuel, be with us, Emmanuel. The verses celebrate the one who came, who comes, and who will come again. This is scored for SAB choir with piano and guitar. There are some fun, close harmonies, and the baritone part is in the higher end of the range, so it might be good for youth choirs. There are separate parts for violin and cello, or a single C instrument part, not to be played with the violin and cello, which are especially effective when the instrumental interlude is included. The interlude uses the Appalachian carol As Joseph Was a-Walking, and is a nod to Joseph, who usually doesn't get as much attention in the Jesus, Mary, and Joseph story, and a nod to Tom, Carolyn's father, who asked me to write the song. The verses offer a variety of textures. Verse 1, unison or solo. Verse 2, two-part mixed voices. And 3, SAB. The assembly can join in on the refrains. Here is Child of Grace.
To us in human form, as Word made flesh and love divine, to melt our hearts, child, you were born, the Holy One in God's design.
Child of grace, Emmanuel, God with us, Emmanuel, heart's birthplace, Emmanuel, be with us, Emmanuel. You come to us,
During ordinary time between Epiphany and the beginning of Lent, Jesus begins his public ministry by calling the disciples. An easy anthem or assembly song for this time is "You Call Us, Lord," which is included in an octavo with my arrangement of Creator of the Stars of Night. The verses are a metrical setting of the chant tune, Conditor alme siderum, and are easily learned because of that familiar melody. There's also a simple refrain scored for two-part mixed voices with a new melody that complements the chant tune. Parts for English horn or violin or oboe and cello or bassoon are included in the octavo to augment the piano and guitar accompaniment. Percussion or drums can also be a nice addition. If you're looking for something that doesn't take much rehearsal time, this is a great option for after Christmas when you're coming back from the busyness of the season, but it also works for other times in the church year when discipleship, mission, ministry, church, or Christian life are the focus. Within the Eucharistic liturgy, this song would work as a gathering song at the preparation of the altar and gifts or at communion. Now you call us, Lord.
You call us, Lord, to hear your word, in gratitude to humbly pray. Accept your gift of grace assured, and lift our hearts to sing your praise. In this place of wood and stone, of hungry hearts, of bread and cup, make us your church, a house and home, built on your abiding love.
You call us, Lord, to seek your will and follow in your narrow way. Become a sign of life fulfilled and grow in love and faith each day. In this place of wood and stone, of hungry hearts, of bread and cup, make us your church, a house and home, built on your abiding love. You call us, Lord, to take and share this meal of love in wine and bread, in cross and sign, in heartfelt prayer, to journey on as we are led. In this place of wood and stone, of hungry hearts, of bread and cup, make us your church, a house and home, built on your abiding love. You call us, Lord, to unity, to be disciples of your Son. So bless us now, your family. O Holy Spirit, make us one. In this place of wood and stone, of hungry hearts, of bread and cup, make us your church, a house and home, built on your abiding love.
Now we'll look at Open Unto Me. The text was adapted from a prayer, Lord, Lord, Open Unto Me, by Howard Thurman, who is best known for his The Work of Christmas. I originally wrote it as a straight choral piece and thought the assembly could join in either on the entire piece or on the words Open Unto Me that begin each line. When I worked with Gary Daigle, who produced this Unknown Blessings collection, he envisioned it as more of a mantra or Taizé-style ostinato, having the "Open Unto Me" lines be the core sung by everyone, with invocations by solo, duet, and trio voices. In the recording, the first time through, the choir sings "Open Unto Me." Then there is space to pray for openness to God's will each time. This piece is scored for SAB with piano, guitar, and oboe. An improvised cello part was added to the recording. It should not be rushed, but should be sung as a prayer, and is especially effective during the season of Lent as a prelude for preparation of the altar and gifts or communion at Eucharistic liturgies, or for Taizé-style prayers, reconciliation services, or retreats. Listen to "Open Unto Me." As we continue through the liturgical year, Jesus hanging on the cross was written to be sung during the veneration of the cross on Good Friday, but it could also be used as special music for our Stations of the Cross liturgy or on Palm Passion Sunday. The text is by an English Poor Clares nun, Sister Frances Teresa, and is very intimate and personal. I set it for two-part mixed choir with an open piano part augmented by violin and cello to highlight the starkness of the text. In rehearsing this piece, remind your choir to keep the vocal lines legato and follow the dynamics. The string parts, available separately from the octavo, are an important part of the texture. Here is Jesus Hanging on the Cross.
Jesus hanging on the cross, my heart would share your pain. Let in labor hang with you till all are born again. Once I touched your wounded feet, my fingers in the nail. There I saw the wine of God cupped in the Holy Grail. When I saw your wounded side, my heart reached out to share. Oh, your flesh was torn and wide, and all our pain was there. Jesus hung from broken hands, O man of wounded heart. Let me touch your wounded feet, and in your death be part.
A song which can be used to connect Christian initiation during Lent, especially Lent 3, 4, and 5 of year A, to the Easter Vigil and the entire Easter season is Indwelling Christ. The refrain uses images from initiation, water, light, and life, that lead to full participation at the table of the Lord, and the piano accompaniment simulates flowing water. This is scored for SAB choir with verses for solo sections or all in unison. An oboe or C instrument part is included in the octavo. Guitar and percussion add to the overall texture. Christian initiation and discipleship happen all year long, not just in Lent and Easter, and this song fits for any liturgy where the scriptures speak to our call to follow Christ. Now, Indwelling Christ.
Spirit of
Another part of Christian initiation is confirmation, which often happens during the Easter season, and we celebrate the gift of the Holy Spirit on the Feast of Pentecost. Holy Spirit Come is an ostinato that is perfect for these occasions. The SAB refrain is easily learned with a repetitive text and the same melody for the first two phrases, and a descending bass line and the piano and guitar before coming back around. The recording includes an improvised cello part. The superimposed verses are a translation of the Pentecost sequence done by Christopher Walker. Liturgically, this setting would not be appropriate for use as the sequence with the gospel acclamation on Pentecost, but it would be extremely effective during communion, during confirmations, if one's bishop permits music during the rite, for a prayer in the style of the Taizé community, or as prelude preparation of the altar and gifts, or communion for any liturgies highlighting the Holy Spirit. As with other ostinatos, varying the textures, oohing or humming on some of the refrains, singing a cappella at times, simplifying or having the piano or guitar drop out, adding improvised solo instruments, adds interest and keeps the repetitions from becoming stale. Here is Holy Spirit Come.
Holy Spirit, come. Holy Spirit, come. Holy Spirit, come to us. Holy Spirit, come.
Holy Spirit, Lord,
Holy Spirit,
from the clear celestial
Holy
height,
Spirit,
your pure beaming radiance give. Holy Spirit,
Holy Spirit, come. Holy Spirit, come. Holy Spirit, come to us. Holy Spirit,
Holy
come.
Spirit of the
Holy Spirit,
come with treasures that endure.
Holy Spirit,
Come, O light of all who live. Holy Spirit,
Holy Spirit,
of consolers, you
Holy Spirit,
guest, you the soul's delightful guest. Give refreshing peace to grow. Holy Spirit,
Holy Spirit, come. Holy Spirit, come. Holy Spirit, come to us. Holy Spirit, come.
heal our wounds, our strength,
Holy Spirit,
on our dryness pour your dew.
Holy Spirit, come.
Wash the stains of
month of May is always within the Easter season, and for Catholics is dedicated to Mary. My setting of Hail Mary, Full of Grace is an SATB choral piece. It was written so that it could be paired with Daniel Cantor's beautiful Ave Maria. Both pieces are in the key of E, both in 3/4 time, both with oboe or C instrument and cello adding to the piano accompaniment. The Ave Maria chant can serve as a bridge. I end my piece with it, and Daniel Cantor uses the chant at both the beginning and end of his song. My Hail Mary also quotes Lourdes hymn, the Ave, Ave, Ave Maria, in the tenor and bass parts, beginning on page 5. Besides the month of May, this piece could be done during the Advent season for lessons and carols, especially as a choral intro leading into the assembly singing the cantor Ave Maria, or for other Marian feasts. In rehearsing this piece, keep it lyrical and legato with a light tone, especially on the interval jumps of the opening measures, which return at measure 41. Now, Hail Mary, full of grace. During the summer months of ordinary time, on the 14th Sunday in year A and the 16th Sunday in year B, we hear gospel invitations from Jesus to rest in him. Fellow GIA composer Larry Harris and I created a musical setting of this invitation in our piece, Come and Rest. It is scored for SAB choir with piano, A guitar edition is available for advanced level players. The assembly may join in on the refrains, or the entire piece could be sung by the choir. The text and feel of this work are fitting for themes of comfort, trust, faith, hope, and healing. The initial measures of the refrain melody have descending fifths landing on the bottom notes as word painting for resting in Jesus. I would recommend practicing these descents carefully with your choir, encouraging them to make the leap with a light tone on the bottom note rather than landing heavily or sliding down. Dynamics are also important throughout. In reading sessions which have included Come and Rest, I've noticed that some more classically trained pianists misread the G-flat 6-9 and A-flat add-9 chords on the penultimate measure of the refrain accompaniment, so be sure those are played correctly. Here is Come and Rest.
Come and rest, rest in me. Come away for a while. Come and live, live in me. I will give you rest. Be still and know that I am God. Come find a refuge and retreat. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Come and rest in me. Come away for a while. Come and live, live in me. I will give you rest. Come drink the water that I give, and you will never thirst again. I am the living water you seek. Come and rest in me. Come away for a while. Come and live, live in me. I will give you rest. Come rest beside my tranquil streams. Let me revive your weary soul. I am the Lord, your shepherd and God. Come and
We have just a couple more pieces to look at. First, another ostinato, a setting of Psalm 131 called Help Me Have the Faith of a Child. As I mentioned earlier, the Psalms are a rich resource for our sung prayer. This psalm paraphrase would be great as part of the liturgy for the 25th Sunday in Ordinary Time, Year B, the 27th Sunday in Ordinary Time, Year B, and the 31st Sunday in Ordinary Time, Year A, when the gospel texts have Jesus saying, "Whoever receives a child in his name receives him," or invites the children to come to him, and reminds us that whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and vice versa. Or for other occasions when there is a focus on faith and trust. Within a Eucharistic liturgy, this piece could be used as a prelude during preparation of the altar and gifts or at communion. The gospel-style refrain is arranged for SATP choir with piano and guitar. We also used a Hammond organ on the recording, and having drums or percussion providing a groove is great as well. The verses may be superimposed over the refrain or sung in alternation by a soloist, choir, or even congregation. If the refrain is sung as an ostinato, switching to an ooh or hum at times will vary the texture. Now, help me have the faith of a child.
Have the faith of a child, oh God, trusting in you alone. Help me have the faith of a child, oh God, trusting in you alone. Help me have the faith of a child, oh God, trusting in you alone. Help me have the faith of a child, oh God,
Our final piece is the title song for the collection, Let Us Give Thanks for Unknown Blessings. This was inspired by a card, a beautiful calligraphy card from Anne Kurtz-Kernion of Cards by Anne that read, Let us give thanks for unknown blessings already on the way, Quaker blessing. This card caught my eye when I saw it in Anne's booth at the Religious Education Congress for two reasons. One, I'm a Quaker, although I was unfamiliar with that blessing. And two, I loved the sentiment of the saying, reminding us to live in a state of expectant gratitude. Isn't that what our faith calls us to? To trust in God like the prophets, like Abraham and Sarah, like Mary, like saints of all times, and to recognize that God is in control. I like to know what's happening, to plan, to control what I can, but the pandemic has certainly shown us that we are not in control of our world. Although there have been many tragedies and problems associated with the health crisis, illness, death, economic difficulties, isolation, fear, people have also had time to be still, to listen, to value being kind, and to spend time with loved ones. This simple song is arranged for two-part mixed voices, piano and guitar. Drums and percussion are a great addition. Accordion would be fun too. We used a Hammond organ on the recording. Use this piece on Thanksgiving or any time you are celebrating God's care for us and creation, perhaps to begin morning prayer. Thank you for taking the time for this product resource session. You can find this music and more on the web at giamusic.com. Thank you to GIA and NPM for this opportunity. Special thanks to Jim Gibson and Laura Woodworth Gibson and to Mission San Luis Rey in Oceanside, California for technical assistance. May you find unknown blessings that are already on the way. Let us give thanks for unknown blessings.
Let us give thanks for unknown blessings already on the way. Let us give thanks for unknown blessings already on the way. God holds the future, the present and the past. So let us give thanks for unknown blessings already on the way. See the birds of the air, they neither sow nor reap, yet God will give them fruit to eat, and God will care for us. Let us give thanks for unknown blessings already on the way. Let us give thanks for unknown blessings already on the way. God holds the future, the present and the past. So let us give thanks for unknown blessings already on the way.
Lilies of the field, they neither toil